Hey, good morning. Welcome back to Mike's Diabetes World. Current blood sugar sits at 7.3, which is a pretty good number. I have fully calibrated. I have one single unit of insulin still active in my system. I have my basal rate humming along. One time last night, around 4 o'clock, it stopped working and it said, okay, let's give it a try without any insulin. But very shortly it was back. I had correction, which had settled down quite substantially. I had a couple of days where things were all over the board, including yesterday. So you can see I started to settle down again, which is awesome news. Now, time and range. Remember I've talked to you before where not every day is going to be perfect. And my blood sugars aren't always that great. And yesterday, sorry, I had a brain freeze there. Yesterday was indicative of that. 40% time and range. 60% of the day I was above 10. 40% in range. Look at this average sugar. The average sugar was 12.4. So if we quickly do the math, and we know that 1% is equal to 15 minutes, so 60 times 15 divided by 60, this is 60, for 11.25 hours yesterday, I was out of range, which isn't a good number. But why do I have a lot more swings? Some days I'm up there, I'm 100%, and I'm going crazy. The next day, doing the exact same things, I come up 60. All diabetics have this. A lot of times things swing. And that's what we're going to discuss today. Labile diabetes and T1D. Well, you can't have T1D, you can't have labile without having T1D. We'll be right back. This channel is provided for informational purposes only. Contact your physician for any diagnostic or treatment plan. Labile diabetes, also known as brittle diabetes, is a term best known for diabetes which is unstable or unmanageable. Well, all diabetes can get some sort of management, but it's difficult to get it. It's also characteristics by extreme highs or extreme lows, and they can happen pretty much within the same day. For years, I didn't really care what was going on, and part of it may have been because it was tight controlled. I wasn't being seen by a doctor, and they are saying that brittle diabetes is associated with young adults. that's when they're seeing more and more times it can happen. It is also showing up in more females than males. Da, da, da. So, type 1 diabetes is the main culprit. However, lately, type 2 diabetes who are on insulin can also show these symptoms. So, what's going on? I did a video a while ago about brittle diabetes. It was one of my best, so there's a lot of people out there who think this is going on. There are some cases where psychological features can play a role. For me, I think it was more my gastro problems that have led to brittle or labile diabetes. It's still brittle diabetes rolls off my tongue. So if I do say brittle, I do mean labile. Labile diabetes can tend to end you up in the hospital more often. Even though, and longer, more often than longer, even though the whole diabetes philosophy is getting diabetics out there in the real world. Diabetics do not do well in the hospital. It's very hard to mimic real life. Sometimes diabetics do need to go into the hospital for readjustment, especially if they're having the DKA signs, diabetic ketoacidosis. If you're in diabetic ketoacidosis, you need to be seen in a hospital. They need to get your blood sugars down, get your body back in line, so that you can once again fight the disease. A lot of times, if you go into the hospital, you feel like you're stuck. It was myself. I lived through this. I was stuck in routine. They try one thing, I'd go off on a tangent on something else. Oh God. I was in the hospital for 9 months trying to control my blood sugar. I went in January 8th. It was over Christmas. I got sick. I just thought I ate something. I was in there till September. I came out and it was almost time to put back up the Christmas tree. I hadn't taken it down because I had got the flu. So, labile diabetes is important. So, what to do? Well, you get up every day and you try to do the best diabetes you can. You use the best technology in order to try to interpret what your body is doing. Yesterday, I took extra doses of insulin. It didn't bring me down. Now, last night, it's brought me down. And when I say bring down, I mean my blood sugars. I don't mean anything else. Eating consistently, and I don't mean eating so much junk food that that's not going to help your diabetes. It's not going to help day-to-day management. It's certainly not going to help your brittleness or your labileness. Now, that doesn't mean that all brittle diabetics, if they go out to dinner, can't have that fancy dessert. It just means we have to be a little bit more diligent on our blood sugars. I hope you've all kind of learned that everything I've talked about in this channel is based on control, trying to get the best control you can get. And while it's interesting and I show you time and range and everything, it's not worth getting upset if you're not achieving the same numbers or gloating over, oh, I can do better than that. That isn't the point of me showing you my blood sugars. It's to show you how volatile diabetics can be. Labile diabetics are more and more challenging. They believe it's physical, mental plays a part. One condition, and I don't know if condition that they've thought about, but the condition I believe is, oh well, my blood sugars are so unstable, there's no point in even trying. I call it the giving up syndrome. It's not something out there realistic. I went through that. Oh, it's so difficult to try to do it. I'm not even going to try. Oh, God. Being brittle is not an excuse to not take care of yourself. Brittle can be another challenge. So brittle diabetics, yes, you need to be in touch with your medical team. I have an endocrinologist. I have an eye doctor. I have a dietitian. I have a diabetic nurse. All work together to try to solve my conditions. Now, the I don't cares can very easily set in. Oh well, it's an excuse. I can eat whatever I want because I have an excuse. I'll just say, oh, it's hard to control. I won't do anything. Wrong philosophy, guys. Being labile is important that you try to keep your blood sugars under control. You don't want to end up in later life with a whole bunch of complications that make your life even harder to control. What to do to solve labile? Labile does not solve itself, or they thought, and they're not quite sure about this, but it's been shown that labile is in younger diabetics, on the most part. So they can figure out that because it's not showing up in seniors with diabetes, it may be a syndrome able to grow out of. Hasn't worked here. Maybe it's because I'm in my second or third childhood. But they do show that labile ends up showing up in younger adults. Again, tends to be more women. So how do you handle lows or highs? Getting on, taking a look at your numbers and seeing what the trends are. Yesterday, my blood sugars look like that. Forget the 7.2, but take a look at the graph. So you try to connect and try to bring down the blood sugars. But you need to do it with the advice of your doctor. Eating right. You need a benchmark. Seeing a doctor, seeing a labile endocrinologist. I have a very good endocrinologist, but keeping up and keeping things the best control you can achieve. Don't try to be the textbook diabetic if you can't. If you're using it as an excuse, you need to stop that and come back and try to control your blood sugar. That's what labile means to me. And with that, I hope you have a great day, and we'll talk again later. Bye now. My next vlog topic will be Thanks for tuning in today. You know, when you watch these videos, hopefully you take away some important part that you can go to your doctor and say, can we get this into our program? Do you think it'll work? Tomorrow, we're going to discuss getting ready for the doctor's appointment. So stay tuned. We hope to see you again. Have a great day. Bye now. My email is mikesdiabetesworld@gmail.com. mikesdiabetesworld@gmail.com.